In the realm of cinema, the question of who, if anyone, is the author of a film has long been debated. In 1962, Andrew Sarris sought to answer this question with auteur theory, which posits that a director with a distinguishable enough style qualifies as the film's main creative voice. While Sarris opted to list directors he felt fit this description, a more qualitative model has since established the inherent traits of an auteur. These include technical competency, or the director's filmmaking skill, distinguishable personality, a distinct style throughout their works, and interior meaning, common messages or themes in their films. While many directors understandably fit these criteria in a conventional sense, some are what can be called subversive auteurs. These directors fit each criteria proposed by auteur theory, but in ways that may not be obvious to most audiences. One notable example of this is Jim Henson, the famous creator of the puppet comedy troupe The Muppets. While better known as a performer for Muppets such as Kermit the Frog, Henson directed several films and TV shows. The Jim Henson Company has produced every film in the Muppets franchise. Unlike most, Henson's qualifications as an auteur are often manifested within the puppets that star in his films. Thus, by analyzing his work with the Muppets, we can evaluate how exactly Henson has earned the title of auteur. The words technical competency are beyond an understatement when applied to Jim Henson. Aside from his immense puppeteering skills, Henson's work in the practical effects industry, particularly with puppets and animatronics, was revolutionary, as he pioneered these mediums for modern television and cinema. The design of the Muppets, which are widely regarded as his greatest work, shows Henson's deep understanding of puppetry and the technology behind it. Most Muppets use a combination of rods and sleeves in their operation, as opposed to puppets before Henson's time, which would typically use one or the other. A strong example of Henson's design skills can be found in the character of Big Bird, who is operated by a performer in a suit, using their right arm to puppeteer the head, and their left to control both of the puppet's wings with the aid of a fishing line. Additionally, Muppets are made of softer and more malleable materials than traditional puppets, which aids in their friendly appearance and fluid movement. Henson and his fellow Muppeteers were experts in controlling the movements of their characters, to the point that the characters are convincingly lifelike, and are often regarded as separate from the performers entirely. This separation between Muppet and performer creates the distinctive personality of each Muppet character, which ties back to Henson as the creator of each puppet. According to Michael Davis, who chronicled the history of Sesame Street in his book Street Gang, Muppet performers were selected by passing the puppet around and finding the perfect human-puppet match. As a result of this process, each Muppet gets their own unique personality that defines them as a character, often stemming from the aesthetic of their design. Furthermore, due to their expert design, Muppets can be capable of being quite expressive. In a 1975 interview on The Tonight Show, Jim Henson demonstrates this by showcasing the variety of facial expressions and body language he can put into puppeting Kermit. As a performer, Henson is able to channel his own comedic personality into Kermit, surpassing the simple movements and dialogue that most puppets are capable of. This interview also shows how correlated Henson is with his creations. Johnny Carson first introduces the guest as Jim Henson, but spends most of the interview talking to Kermit. Importantly, he does not pose questions to Henson, who then answers as Kermit, but rather he speaks directly to the puppet. This goes to show how much of Henson's personality as both a performer and auteur goes into his characters, such that an interview with him becomes an interview with his puppets as well. Thanks to this dynamic between Henson and the Muppets, he understands them well as characters and can effectively use them to create meaning within his works. While the Muppets' properties are generally focused on satirical comedy, the narrative that ties the various series and films together is explored in the Muppet Movie. The film, starring the main cast of The Muppet Show, sets out to explain each character's motivations and reasons for being on the show. We learn every Muppet has the same goal of breaking into show business, albeit in various manners, inspiring the formation of the comedy troupe. The film takes on an optimistic message, exploring themes such as the benefits of a positive outlook, the value of creative expression, and the importance of following one's dreams. Fittingly, these are all things Henson himself valued. The documentary Jim Henson Idea Man dives deep into the life of Henson, who had ambitions of becoming a television entertainer similar to those of the Muppets. According to his son Brian Henson, he was full of ideas and often had more than he could possibly see to fruition. Nonetheless, he never stopped working toward these ideas, showcasing his optimistic point of view. A common indicator of an auteur is one who connects deeply with the messages at the heart of their works. and Henson certainly fits that description. Like many auteurs, the qualities that define Henson's work manifest off-screen as well as in his productions. Henson was dedicated to making a marked impact on the industry, creating several organizations for various aspects of his career. The first of these was the Jim Henson Company, which continues to produce films and series in the Muppets franchise. Later on in life, Henson founded the Jim Henson Creature Shop, an SFX studio focused on practical effects, particularly puppets and animatronics. These two companies continue to bring life to Henson's visions as they remain closely tied to the Muppets and Sesame Street properties, as well as providing their services to other directors and studios, much like how Henson himself would work as a performer and puppet designer for other studios during his early career. Henson also created the Jim Henson Foundation, a grant-making institution with the goal of advancing and promoting the art of puppetry. Through his foundation, Henson uplifted aspiring puppeteers who had ambitions similar to his own, giving back to the industry that allowed him to fulfill his dreams. Any director can demonstrate remarkable talent in filmmaking, but very few are so capable as to have their works create meaningful change in the real world, which is what ultimately makes Henson a true auteur.